Here's I enjoy with this series again, and yes, we will be doing the next part of the series. So I really wanted, I know they did the last part like a couple days ago, but yes, now we'll be doing the next part. So the first thing is the collapse of the Amsar Horde. They couldn't really keep all of this land they have gained forever. Like they have came out of nowhere, basically kind of like the Huns did, but basically what happens is the Amsur Horde, Khan has died. So basically the Amsur Horde, which is the second Horde civilization, kind of like the Mongolians or the Taurus Hordes, they collapse, causing the Amsur Hordes to disappear and collapse. This causes a huge amount of land to be free, and all of the Amsor Horde has been defeated and eliminated. It is. Has been eliminated. So, these countries, which the Amsor Horde was trying to conquer, the Amsor Horde, they basically wanted to take over all of China, but they really could not because they didn't really have a grasp of the countries here. So basically these countries now over here can now basically expand into China. And that's what's gonna basically happen. So Wuzi, the province that is broken away, will gain all of this land here. Sifa, which is this little province here, will gain some land out of this. So they are not a teeny tiny country anymore. And they will get way more land and way more population. Caesar will gain all of this land here, as you must, and they may even make a new capital because of this collapse. So Caesar gets all of this land. One of the Amsor Horde's sons does take over this land here. Here, and this is Maki, which is a new civilization. Next is this civilization, which is the old Zenese dynasty here, which is just called Zen. Their capital will be right around here. And Tavi, Zhao didn't gain anything as they didn't want to expand. Tavi will basically gain all of this land right here. So Tavi will become a more expansive country here. And this is the Ranika, which is the other son that survived, and they will have the capital here. So this is the new Chinese map. So kind of like how it is in real life history, basically China collapsed once again. Meanwhile, the Vanity starts to expand its empire further up north to border Ruzhe, or whatever this country is called, and they create this border here, and they also expand further down south. They never really expanded this much because of the Zenese Empire, but now they do have a lot of land, but it's puts them at conflict with Ruzhe, and basically the country of Swift will also expand further down, colonizing modern-day Singapore and southern Malaysia, and also colonizing this little area here. The Swift will also go ahead and take the rest of the peninsula. Okay, well, we get the Krakoa every day. We got the Krakoa. They'll basically annex the correct land here. And they are basically becoming a very important country in the future. They will continue to expand in Borneo is this one, Sumatra, further south into the jungle, but the jungle was kind of really restricting the colonization. Meanwhile, it's basically Chinese war. So basically, this province doesn't want to be a part of Rankia. They do not like the idea of being ruled by the former, aggressors. So basically, they start this dark green country declares its independence. And Rinkia does everything they can to stop the rebellion. But again, most of these countries are very weak at the moment as they just gained their independence. They don't really have much of an army. They have to basically build up the army, and most of these countries are also pretty unstable. With the exception of the Wuzi and Caesar and Sifa Kong, they are very unstable. So there might be a lot of civil wars in China. So yeah, Rinka was able to take back its territory. Meanwhile, Tavi does something the unthinkable. They discover for something. So basically, a sailor from Tavi goes past the line of no return, and they discover Alaska. They realize that this is Siberia. This is probably more of Siberia. So they just say, and they go back. But Alaska has been discovered, which means it's the first time the New World has been contacted with. Basically, they discovered this island here, so they really... And then they discover a small bit of the mainland, and they probably think it's just probably more of just a gigantic Arctic island. So they just went back. The Tavian scouts go back, and Tavi expands further this way. However, this is a pretty big... Meanwhile, the country of Kanto realizes they can have endless riches. As Kanto is, they want to expand up north. They do start to annex some of this land here on the coast. Starting right here, where they take a lot of this land here and annex it into the territory. Yeah, they don't really go into the inland too much, mostly coastal. But this is the first real expansion towards the north, towards the Arctic. Next is Europe chaos mode. The fair problem with the Tomorrow colonies is, again, most of these colonies do not want independence, but most of these people these three countries are what we would call melting pot countries. Most of the people are now made up of people from basically almost everywhere. They do have a common religion, as most of the people follow the religions introduced by Tamara, which are the two largest religions called Tayaski and Trimpint, and some other ones like Popis and Tagawa. No, not we stop using the T ones. Magawa. And these four religions are basically the four major religions of the Middle East, because there's not really a unifying religion of the Middle East. There isn't really until now, when a new country rises out of nowhere. No, this is not Islam. We're trying to keep it as not as real as possible. This is the new religion of Ponane. Ponane is a very, very strange religion. It is basically this world's version of Islam. So basically, the Ponane, the first prophet, basically creates a religion basically based around the desert. Okay, that's what the original vision is, and they do not realize this religion is going to be a very important religion. So they basically create a holy city, which is based around here. So basically, the literal capital is just a city. They don't have anything else. But the religion starts to include a lot more than the desert. The first followers are that's we don't like being a part of tomorrow or Safid. Let's do our own thing. But they start to expand. But then the next prophet comes along, and he basically says, you know what? Let's conquer the Arabian Peninsula. So that's what they exactly do. they basically start to expand as well. And this is a pretty big problem for these countries over here, as this country is basically forming its own empire. Yeah. Yeah. But the thing is, they can't really declare war on Tamara, as that's a massive, massive country. However, they do declare war on Safed, and it's the first country to really be absorbed into the country, into the smaller country. They also started to invade Yami, but Yami was able to push back and even went against the Ponane religion. You know, and this might actually be a failed religion, as this is basically a country religion, and Yami, however, was able to push back the country to all the way towards here. The country still exists, but they do control. The peace treaty is settled, and Ponane will become a holy civilization, kind of be like the Vatican. Again, Safed will still be an independent state. But basically this is a country basically like the Vatican. They elect basically kind of like a pope or someone to keep the keeper of the religion as well. Safed doesn't really exist anymore, so they will be annexed into the holy country. The holy city will be here, and this will be basically the Ponane, basically the kind of like the papacy. Okay, they will basically, this won't be a very strong country, but it will be a very important country. And Ponani starts to take off, and Tamara, Neba, this country, Nova, and even all the way up here, replacing some of these already existing religions. So this is the first real major religion outside of the Chinese religions and the Indian religions and the Middle Eastern religion, including, Tamiz, the Tammuz religion, the Tamaran religions, and in a couple of like a decade or so, Tamara is 47% Ponane, and most of these other religions are kind of dying, as another religion is rising up, and that is Bolster Parasia, which is a religion bound in this area, but has been expanding further south as well. So, Persia, if we are going by religions, this will be Persia, this will be Ponane. These will be folk religions. These will be mostly folk religions. These will be Indic religions, Southeast Asian religions, and East Asian religions, because I don't want to give them a name. So basically, the two major religions now are Prisaka, did I misspell the religion? Persai and Ponone. Persai is mostly found here, and Ponone is here. These are the two major religions now of the Middle East, and yeah, most of the folk religions that we mentioned are basically dead already, so there is not really anything of note, and yeah. Next is the breakup of the Continental. So the Continental has been facing a rebellion from Bolsa for a while, and Continental finally says, you know what, you can finally gain your independence, Bolsa. So Bolsa is now finally an independent country, and they exist around here. Dosa, however, does not want to give Naira its independence, and they fight a war against it, and they basically said, you know what, you can't exist anymore. So Naira is no longer an existing country, so basically have this large, massive country here, but Bolsa is now an independent nation. Now it's the war in China. So Xin basically declares war on Zhao to regain back the former lands from the dynasty. The Zhao were basically a subject of the Zhen dynasty. Don't worry, there's no Dark Ages in this timeline. No, we don't have to. The reason why the Industrial Revolution took so long is because of the Dark Ages. We're not doing that type of crap. Okay, but we will do like a catastrophe like thing, like a, kind of like 546 and stuff happened where a massive volcano happens, and we'll do that next episode, but we'll not do like the, we're gonna have to wait until like 1400 for actual technology. But Xin finally gets a coastline as Zhao is defeated by the new Xin dynasty. Meanwhile, a new country is formed up here. This is another Chinese country that was created. Then Wufu is created as a kingdom. The emperor wanted to create the new king. Basically wanted to separate from Wenka, so they basically create a new nation up here, and that is Wufu. Continental is also having issues with its colony, Pitcairn, which is a problem because Pannone has released the colony. Pannone has become the majority religion in several countries, including Pannone, which is 98%, Tamara, which is 51%, with Penin, the Penian, or whatever that. Okay, what's what I call? Okay. Piante, okay, what did I call that religion? Yeah, this is why I didn't do religions, okay. And 40% Piane, or basically this northern religion of Pio. Pianke, that's what it's called, Pianke. That northern religion, mostly found in the northern provinces, but Pannone has made itself to these two colonies here. Meanwhile, the Continental set up a third colony right here in Mozambique. Yeah, this is the third colony, but this colony fails to establish. So they failed to establish the third colony. The Continental may be an empire on decline. Again, no empire lasts forever. Meanwhile, tomorrow, having to deal with two religions, Pianke and Pannone, they are now worried. Now there's a third religion, which is a European religion, which is Neostian. This is the religion that is, that has been a minority religion. It is, mostly found in Fry, but it has been spread to Elp and Escadia as well. So Neostian is the third major religion founded as well. So yeah, Neostian has been, here with Fry. They continue to expand this colony, and they found out they can create another colony. This is the fourth colony, and this is kind of be a kind of like, this will be actually named after the religion. So Neosti, to basically create a religion for that colony. As a lot of the people who practice it wanted to secede, but creating a colony for that religion, it makes a lot of sense. They also give the colony a lot of land as well to grow and expand, but they are still a part of tomorrow. So Neostians, they have their own country right now, or their own colonial area. This causes Fry to basically expand all the way towards this area here. And this is basically going to be the hard border of this colony here, as another colony has been set up by tomorrow. But the problem is they can't really maintain these colonies. This is a big problem that they were going to head into eventually, that they can't really maintain these colonies. and one of the colonies starts to rebel, and that is Warpy. That's the British colony. As Forsar was created as a colony. But the problem is these colonies are very hard to reach. So in an effort to save the colonies, Tamara colonizes these two little islands here, but it isn't really enough, and the first one to gain its independence is Sahi, which they will be having this color instead now. They tried to defeat they couldn't really take control of this country, and it is the first colony to basically break free, which means it's the first truly independent colonial country. And they are now an independent country. Tamara couldn't really send its army across the Mediterranean as Colossia and Spania kind of blocked them, as Colossia and Spania kind of supported the Sahian independence. And Spania also even goes to went to even go block Gibraltar. These are two small countries, but basically they did send colonies from, armies from these colonies even, but even then the Tamara army couldn't really bring their armies through the Mediterranean, as there were so many blocks as many countries support these colonies becoming independent. And yeah, that is it about this video here, and yeah, goodbye.